We are a culture addicted to stress and drama. We love a good drama. We love good stress. And because we get pats on the back for it, like, oh my gosh, you're so awesome. Look how quickly you did that. And then you're burnt out again because your adrenals are fucked and you feel dead inside. And then you give to everybody else to make sure that they get back on their routine. And you're not leading from a place of integrity or authenticity. Have you ever sat and wondered, what's wrong with me? Why can't I get my shit together? Or maybe you feel like you have your shit together, but you can't seem to break through to the next level. You find yourself cycling around your goals, not fully jumping in, committing, or maybe you're like me and you love a good challenge. So you jump all the way in and then feel the whiplash of your emotions, fear, judgment, shame, overwhelm. Why do some humans have this unbreakable resilience while others seem to run and hide from their emotional discomfort? This is the question I ask myself on a daily basis, and the one I am determined to solve on this podcast. I'm here to ask the emotionally uncomfortable questions and help women thrive in all areas of their life. I'm a TEDx speaker, author of Dying to Be a Good Mother, and host of this podcast. I'm here to help women take radical responsibility for how they want to feel in all areas of their life so they can show their children how good life can feel. I started my career as a social worker, helping adults see and understand their children's behavior. But it wasn't until stage 4 cancer in 2013 that pushed me to take a deeper stand for change, uncovering how cultural expectations sabotage our dreams. I've been featured in Forbes, Entrepreneur, Real Simple, Google, Mind Body Green, and more. And the number one question I get asked over and over again is, Heather, how do you do it all while having energy left over? Simple answer is I don't. I plan my week in alignment with how I want to feel. And I want to show you exactly how to do this yourself. So head on over to Heather Chauvin, CHAUVIN.com/energy. heatherchauvin.com/energy. I have some freebies over there for you. Videos, PDFs, bonuses, how to stop yelling, how to hold healthy boundaries, and the common reasons why women block their success. Let's dive in to today's episode. Dying to Be a Good Mother, page 229. The chapter is titled, Fearful But Not Afraid. My heart thumping in my chest, sweat dripping from my pores. I couldn't avoid the primal fear coursing through my body. The months leading up to this moment had not felt safe, easy, or familiar. Finally, the big day, the big moment was here. I had to walk on stage. I had to perform. I was here to inspire, motivate, and connect. But would I be good enough? Could I ever be that good? All right, ladies, today I want to talk about fear, emotions, hence the reason why I'm always talking about being emotionally uncomfortable. But through the context of, I'm using air quotes, freedom, right? Freedom, summer freedom. So we're headed into a season now where the kids are off of school and it's kind of like the summer break. And we all need a break. We need breaks. And I think culturally, we are conditioned to have this all or nothing mentality. So what happens is you go. And then when summer season is here, you're burnt out, miserable, exhausted, and you just need to stop. The sun is shining and you really want to, quote unquote, take that break. And it's not just you that's exhausted and burnt out. It's your children too. And I think this year, especially post COVID, and we're still, integration with it, but there's a lot of emotional side effects and mental side effects, emotional side effects of what the last few years have been. And what I'm noticing in my own household and the children that I see and the families that I see is burnout is actually almost worse than it was previous to COVID, because we're living in a world, we're acting if things are normal, and we're not acknowledging what has happened to us or acknowledging what is happening in us. And the reason why I wanted to read that part of the book today is because, it's acknowledging your emotions. You need to acknowledge your emotions. You need to acknowledge what is going on inside of you in order to create the life that you want. So it's like clockwork. It is this time of year, and it doesn't matter what you identify as. You are, I do this podcast. I attract a lot of women who are raising children. So you may, your career, I'm using air quotes, your career, the work that you do in the world may be a sole caregiver in your home, right? You're the house manager. Your sole work is to raise the children, AKA stay-at-home mom. But you're still working. You're still doing a lot of shit. You may be a professional woman and have a corporate job and still have children, right? Raising children. You may be a business owner. It doesn't matter who you are, what you identify as. You're doing work in the world. And I mean, that in itself is a whole podcast topic around like work and the invisible work and all of that. And I've said this again and again and again, and I'm going to say it again, is I'm here for the solution. I am not here to perpetuate the problem. We all know the problems and the inequality of gender roles and all of that. What I'm here to say is, what are you going to do about it by the actions that you actually have control over? Like, you as a human being taking radical responsibility within the parameters of what you have control over, which is your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, how you treat other people, how you treat yourself. But all of this, these are habits. This is a practice. This is not a one and done. And this is not a cross your fingers, say a prayer, meditate on it, and go to sleep. And the next day you're going to wake up and somehow a magical wand is going to be waved. This is a intentional effort. So let's transition the conversation into summer. I was in the shower this morning and I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about a real life example of what emotional freedom looks like. So here, I'm going to give you an example because this was me. Okay. So I have the privilege now in my life to create more time, more energy, and more connection with my children because of the work that I have done years previous. So every time there's a new season, let's say summer season or spring season or winter season, I can reflect on how much I've grown in the last 12 months based off of my daily habits, like moment by moment habits, and the work that I've done on myself. It is not hope is not a strategy. You can't just hope for shit to change or hope for other people to change and then magically your life's going to change. So I remember, this is the story I was thinking about when I was in the shower this morning. I remember back in the day, and this is not actually that long ago, let's say 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, I was building my business. And then previous to that, I was working outside of the house and building my business at the same time. And I just remember scrolling on the internet, scrolling Instagram, and looking at these photos of women, because that's who I wanted to be, right? I was like a mom, a woman, having what appeared to be this freedom summer. So being with her children all the time, being on a beach, being in the water, traveling, whatever it is, right? And then so what happens is my insecurities come out and I project, right? So I project judgment. And I sit there and I'm like, oh, wouldn't that be nice? Or that must be nice. And sometimes it would come across in my mind very angry and resentful because I wanted that. I wanted it so bad. And I was working towards it. And in all honesty, I would have those days in those summers as well. Like I did not hustle 24/7, but what I was actually projecting was a feeling. Okay. So just bear with me. I was projecting this feeling and desire of looking at that woman and thinking that she feels free. She feels free. She feels joy. She feels content. She feels like light in her body and in her life. And she's happy because I wanted happiness, right? I wanted to be what I perceived her to be. But I was judging her material life. I was judging her smile. I was judging the clothes she was wearing. I was judging the location of the beach that she was at. And when I say judging, I was taking that in as information and saying, oh, that's her happy life. Okay, I want to get there. Now, tables are turned, okay? So I'm just putting myself in someone's shoes because I know I'm not the only one. I hear this on a daily basis from women. Now we're turning the tables, okay? So now we're going to pretend that we are that woman in the photo. That woman in the photo is standing in the water with a child on her hip and one next to her with a husband, a partner, and some random stranger is taking this photo, okay? And she woke up that morning having a panic attack, thinking, we don't have enough money for this vacation. I don't know if our credit card is going to have enough room to actually check out of this hotel. And she put on her bathing suit that morning and said, I'm going to go to the beach because that's what you do when you're here with your kids, and I'm going to put a smile on. But I am so self-conscious in this body because I feel like shit. I'm bloated. And although I've been trying to change my healthy habits, there's something going on inside of my body and it's scaring the shit out of me because I don't feel comfortable. And my partner is triggering me because sometimes I feel like he's an additional child and I've asked for help and we keep getting in this argument. And I don't know how to communicate to him. And my deepest fear is that I don't know if I want to be in this relationship anymore. But currently, I am a full-time stay-at-home mom, and my career right now, we made this decision years ago, is to raise the children. And my fear is that if I do choose to leave this relationship, I don't feel like I have financial freedom or financial security. So do I leave the relationship first with the fear of the unknown and uncertainty, or do I figure out how to make money? Do I go back to work and then feel the guilt of having someone else raise my children? Do I figure out how to start a business when I have lack of confidence and I know that that's going to trigger my partner? All of these insecurities coming up, right? So we all have our version of this story. We all have our version of like fear of uncertainty, fear of the unknown. And the interesting part is how people perceive your life. So people have perceptions and expectations, like judgments of what my life looks like. People are judging your life. Like this is the human experience, right? So if something looks good on the outside, people automatically assume that your life is easy. And it doesn't matter how many times you choose to tell stories about vulnerable stories. People will always have their own mental filter, Okay. So I was having this conversation with someone yesterday. It was actually somebody on my team. And I know she looks up to me. And I was telling her about like my emotional process of insecurities and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, I put you on such a high pedestal that I think you have everything figured out, and you never experience fear. You never experience guilt. You never experience overwhelm. And, I look at you and I just think all these things like, oh my gosh, she's so beautiful. She's so talented, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that is your perception projected onto me. It doesn't matter what somebody looks like. You never understand their emotional experience. It doesn't matter how much money someone makes. You never understand their emotional experience. So we're judging constantly as humans. So we're looking at somebody else and thinking, what's wrong with me? Why can't I figure my shit out? What is wrong with me? Okay? Now, let's go back to this summer. It doesn't matter if you are a business owner, if you're corporate. This is why I go back to desire. If you neglect your personal desires, you will eventually die. If you neglect your personal desires, you will eventually die. What did I just say? If you cut off the nutrients that your mind needs, your body needs, your soul needs, you will eventually die. Your soul will die. You will start to feel numb. You will start to feel like you're shutting down. You will actually have a lack of motivation. If you do not give your body the nutrients that it needs, your body will start to shut down and you will form a disease in your body eventually. It might be 10 years down the road. You're probably, you might have symptoms already. But if you neglect the symptoms, that's your body's way of saying, please pay attention to me. It can be something as small as aches and pains, right? But we've been taught culturally that 1, numb your pain, and 2, aches and pains come with age. Sure, maybe a little bit, but at the same time, like, we're not actually meant to live in pain. If you neglect your mind, growing your mind, challenging your mind, chronically educating yourself, like reading books, having intellectual conversations with people, learning a new subject, challenging it, pushing the boundary, trying to get better at something, your mind will eventually die. And then you see these people who are typically 60s, 70s, 80s, who feel so removed from their mind that they feel like they've lost their mind. Okay? So it's not rocket science. It's what you don't nurture dies. What you don't nurture dies. So what you can't see is behind my computer here is a garden. I look out my window and I can see a beautiful garden, and it's a vegetable garden. And I always think of this vegetable garden because I put the plants in the soil has nutrients, the sun is shining, right? And there's actually a huge part of the garden that doesn't get as much sun, so we put the veggies that don't need a lot of sun over there. But you do notice a difference in the plants that are in the sun versus the ones that are not in the sun. We water them every day, we pay attention. The plant itself gives you symptoms of what is happening, right? So it might die, it might turn yellow, it might not grow, like it might look sick. And typically what you do is you look at the frickin' vegetables or a plant and say, what's going on here? And you diagnose it. And then you try to help it out if you care and figure shit out, right? And nurture it back to life. But nobody thinks to do that to people. Nobody, ever, especially ourselves, right? So we abandon ourselves, and then 20 years down the road, 30 years down the road, you're like, who the fuck am I? Who the fuck am I? Where am I? Oh my gosh, I'm like this soul in a body, barely hanging on. And what? I don't even recognize myself. And then you have so much work to do to catch up that, you know, it just feels overwhelming and you're just like, fuck it. Who cares? I'm not even going to start. This is how I feel about people who say, it's summertime, I'm not going to do anything. Because we're so freaking burnt out that we have this all or nothing cycle that what happens is you go, 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 and then you have a belief that when the sun is shining, you can't do anything. You just need to be like a fucking lizard in the sun and not do anything else. And then when September comes around, and I know this is different for people on the other side of the world, like in Australia and stuff, but September comes around and you're like, okay, let's get back in our routines. All right, let's do this. And the resistance, the physical resistance and anxiety that you have been avoiding within yourself and your children, because we are a culture addicted to stress and drama. I'm gonna say that again. We are a culture addicted to stress and drama. We love a good drama. We love good stress. And because we get pats on the back for it, like, oh my gosh, you're so awesome. Look how quickly you did that. And then you're burnt out again because your adrenals are fucked and you feel dead inside. And then you give to everybody else to make sure that they get back on their routine. And you're not leading from a place of integrity or authenticity. So this is the time of year where slow and steady wins the race. This is not a time to completely stop. When you know you want to slow down, you have to ask yourself, why? Do I want to slow down because the pace that I'm going at is not sustainable and I actually need to slow down and be more consistent? Because that is sustainability, right? It's the tortoise or the hare. The whole, the rabbit going really, 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 really fast and then he got exhausted and he took a nap versus the turtle who was slow and consistent. And I'm telling you, in the last 2 years of my life, and I've been doing this all along, but in the last 2 years of my life, I truly wanted to challenge myself to take wildly imperfect, messy action consistently. And it is mind-blowing to me. It actually makes me want to cry. I don't know why making me want to cry. It actually makes me want to cry because it's easy. It is so fucking easy to do 3 things a day for 10 minutes a day and be done in 30 minutes and do that every single day rather than stopping altogether and removing months of progress because we carry a belief that it needs to be all or nothing. And I see so many dreams die in the summer. I see so many women pretending that give, and shove down their desires to feel better, they think having more time and energy with their children creates more connection, but it doesn't. Sometimes it actually triggers the anger and resentment inside of you, and you have to listen to that. It's not normal to be angry and resentful all the time. It doesn't matter how many kids you have. It doesn't matter how busy your life is. It's not fucking normal. And if you keep convincing yourself that anger and resentment is normal, what you're actually doing, yes, it's a normal emotion, but it's a symptom. It is not an identity. It's not a way of being. It's not a lifestyle. I'm just an angry person. No, you have a lot of fucking anger inside of you and you refuse to look at it. And again, if you bypass your emotions, you are actually bypassing your desires. And that is not living life. That is just existing. And you are showing your children that what existence looks like. You are not showing, you are not role modeling what living is. You are role modeling what surviving is. And I get it. It's emotionally uncomfortable. So now let's transition into the action. Headed into summer season, okay? I'm all about how do you want to feel? How do you want to feel? How do you want to feel? Progress, not perfection, all the shit that comes out of my mouth. I want you to think about your week. And if you're a planner, right? Like I'm not someone who actually identifies as a planner. I ride the line. I plan a little bit, but I'm not that meticulous planner, moment by moment person. The more resistance I have around doing something, I have found a strategy is to overplan. Because if I underplan and I have a lot of resistance to it, my brain actually wants to forget. And then I end up not doing the thing because I'm like, oh my gosh, I just completely forgot. So when I have a lot of resistance around something, I will actually overplan. But when it comes to summer, if I just think, oh, we're just going to live for the moment, and I'm just going to wake up every day and decide when I want to get out of bed, and I'm going to let my kids do the same, and then, whatever, it's just go with the flow all the time. What happens is energetically, you're kind of stewing in your shit, okay? And you're neglecting your needs still. And part of the reason why you are doing that is because you're avoiding. You're actually avoiding. So this summer, I challenge you to say, what would I love my ideal week to look like? What would I love my ideal week to look like? And if you're working full-time, great, awesome. What does that look like? What do you want done? How can you get ahead of things instead of reacting to them? Can you take time off? When you are taking your time off, what are you doing? And don't just put down like decluttering your fucking garage, okay? Like what are you doing for your soul? What are you doing for yourself? What habits are you starting? And I want you to observe your shadow stories. So your shadow stories are the things, the excuses that you tell yourself of why now is not a good time. So I will hear things like, oh, the kids are out of school. I'm going to wait until the kids are back in school. Awesome. And then the kids are going to be back in school. And then you're going to say, oh my gosh, it's busy. The kids are back in school. And then the holidays are going to happen. And then the new year. And then you're waiting till new year, new you, because that's a perfectionism mindset. And then new year, new you happens. And then you're a few months in and you've kind of fucked up your progress. So now you're like, oop. That's messy again. I'm not going to go there. Restart. Well, you know what? We're mid-year. Summer's coming, blah, 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 right? So your shadow stories are the excuses. To be emotionally uncomfortable and to actually like live your life from a place of freedom, you have to feel your shadow story. So let me give you an example. You are having that summer day. You're having that summer day. You've planned out who you want to be and how you want to feel. And it's time to wake up. And you know that you have on your calendar today to do 3 30-minute tasks that are in alignment with your bigger vision. You know what they are because you've listened to this freaking podcast, you read the book, you did the things, you know what those micro actions are. And you're getting to the first micro action. And your shadow story is, it's summer. I deserve a break. I deserve a break. But what is the actual break that you're craving? Is the break from the hustle culture that you've been addicted to for the last few decades? Or is the break that you crave a break from disappointing yourself, a break from giving up on yourself, a break from not feeling your emotional discomfort. Because in that moment, it's just going to take you 10 minutes. It's 10 fucking minutes. And you do that first task. You are going to be so proud of yourself. And then you have to deal with the emotional resistance, and you go through the second task and the third task, and you're day one, you're done. You did your high leverage action. You're done. Guess what? Guess what you get to do? You get to go lay by the pool, watch your kids, do whatever the hell you want. Go to that beach, the same fucking beach that you saw on Instagram. And you get to lay there and go, I actually don't care what anybody else is doing in their life because I am so fucking proud of myself. I did 3 things today that I did not want to do. I did 3 things today that I did not want to do, and it took me 30 minutes total. And I am so proud of myself for not giving up. And I got to be disciplined, and I got to create those habits while I'm still spending quality time with my kids. And my shadow stories, they were there the whole fucking time. They were there the whole time. And I didn't listen to them. I put a boundary up and I said, hey, my little inner self was having a tantrum. I was like, no, I hear you, but we're not doing that right now. Ladies, you can be that woman on the beach with your kids. And believe it or not, over time, you get to choose. Am I going to identify as the type of person who wakes up absolutely fucking exhausted and terrified? Or am I going to wake up as the woman that says, you know what, I'm still exhausted, but I'm a little bit less exhausted than I was a month ago or last year because I'm choosing to take different action. I'm choosing to ask for help. I'm choosing to invest time and energy in changing how I feel. Because the magic is when you change how you feel, your life changes. And when your life changes, how you relate to your life changes. So that's my sermon for today on how to live your best summer. And it has nothing to do with throwing everything out the window and starting again in September. This is about consistency and not giving up when you want to. There it is. You just listened to the Emotionally Uncomfortable podcast. If you want to take this conversation to the next level, head on over to our private Facebook group community, heatherchauvin.com/Facebook. My last name is spelled CHAUVIN. That's heatherchauvin.com/Facebook. Also, if you are a huge fan of this show, please rate and review it on iTunes. Every review helps another woman like you take back control of how she wants to feel and become emotionally uncomfortable. I truly believe the better we feel, the more alive we become. This is how we are going to change the world. And if you've been watching me for a while, if you've been on the fence and you're curious, how can Heather help me? Head on over to heatherchauvin.com/work with me to check out my mastery and mastery business coaching programs. That's heatherchauvin.com/work with me.